Welcome to the Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast with your hosts, Josh Kimmel, Dave Campbell, and Justin Bowerly.
Welcome to Once Upon a Sunday Fantasy Football Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Josh. I'll be bringing in my co-host, Justin Bowerly, in a second. But first, I want to let you know what we're talking about today on the show. We'll be doing a showdown. If you're new to the show, thank you so much for watching. We picked two players that could be on your team, logistically on your team. So today we're doing Baker Mayfield versus Danny Dimes. We're doing Austin Ekeler versus Tank Bigsby at the running back position. We're doing Calvin Ridley versus some over the bum of in Buffalo, but I think Keon Coleman, he's a bum, whatever. And we're also doing TJ Hockenson versus Jonnu Smith. So it's going to be a jam-packed show full of arguments, full of decisions, full of just fantasy goodness. So before I go any further, let's bring in Justin Bowerly. What's going on, Justin?
What's up?
Just in case I get called out, because I was already called out today by my co-host, I work from home and I just put on a jacket before the show. If you want me to dress up like Justin, then I'm going to need more likes. I'm going to need more likes. I'm going to need more likes on the show. I'm going to need more. You know what? When we reach 500 subs, we're at 264 right now. When we reach 500 subs, Tuxedo Josh will make a debut. I'll wear a tuxedo. I will. To
Every
celebrate.
show? Or just one show?
Okay. Yeah. I'll slick back the hair. If we hit 1,000 subs before the end of the season, I'll shave my head. That's not even a joke. I'll do that. I've done it before. Matter of fact, the last time I got a haircut, I shaved my head. That was like 5-6 Halloweens ago. I have long hair, like really long hair. Like it goes down.
I know you thought I was making fun of you earlier today too. So
yeah, it's not very nice, Justin. Not very nice. He doesn't like players with long hair. Apparently, it's difficult to edit. Whatever.
It is.
Whatever. But let's get. Do we have any news to get into? Is there anything happened last night?
You know, the only news that I saw today was that Trevor Lawrence is dealing with an injury from last week, or from the end of the game last week. So that could be a little concerning. They meaning the Jaguars went ahead and signed CJ Beathard to their active roster off the Miami Dolphins practice squad. I don't think they would do that if they weren't concerned. He is limited in practice today due to what they're calling an upper body injury. But he's only missed one game in his entire career, and that was last year in week 7. I would expect Trevor to play, whether he's hurt or not. He's not the guy that's just going to sit a game out just because. There were a lot of trades at the trade deadline yesterday. If you missed that, then I don't know where you were, but nothing else happened in the world yesterday, just the trade deadline. So just to give you a glimpse of what actually did happen, some of the fantasy impact players, Khalil Herbert was traded from the Chicago Bears to the Cincinnati Bengals. Jonathan Mingo was traded to the Cowboys, and Mike Williams was traded to the Steelers. A lot of defensive players, including Baron Browning to the Cardinals, Zadarius Smith to the Lions, Marshawn Lattimore to the Commanders, Preston Smith also to the Steelers, Tre'Davious White to the Ravens, and Khalil Davis to the 49ers. You might not think, or you might be thinking, those are defensive players, Justin. Why are we talking about them? If you happen to play IDP, that's kind of important. However, these are teams that are legitimate contenders in the NFL right now. And this is just showing you that they are going all in to win, which is going to help their offense because they're helping that defense to keep them on the field longer. This should help all of the offensive players on the Cardinals, the Lions, the Cowboys, the Commanders, the Steelers, the Ravens, the 49ers. Players where you already have impact players are now going to get help on the defensive side of the ball.
Yep, I agree with 1,000% everything you said. So before we get into our showdown, our start sits, our decisions, we do have one question in the chat already, and I want to get to it because it's pretty important to me. He's trying to add Keenan Allen. This is Quincy in the chat, so thank you so much. My first time seeing you here, so thank you so much. Keenan Allen He needs to drop either Bucky Irvin, Wan'Dale Robinson, Leggett, or Pop Douglas. At a glance, we talked about Keenan Allen yesterday and how he's getting the targets, but he's not producing with those targets. The same could be said for Wan'Dale Robinson right now. We loved Wan'Dale Robinson early on in the season. We thought Wan'Dale Robinson was going to be a thing, and he's kind of fallen off a bit. I would lean towards dropping him. You can't drop Bucky Irvin. He's definitely a keep. With the Drake May situation and him balling out, I want to keep Douglas as much as I can, and Leggett's the number one receiver there. So for me, odd man out is Wan'Dale Robinson, just for the fact that he's odd man out, and his production has gone down slowly ever since the beginning of the season, and he's going to fade away. Whereas Keenan Allen can still give you that upside for a wide receiver too, at least. So Keenan Allen, pick him up and drop Wan'Dale Robinson.
Are we sure we want to even pick up Keenan Allen?
I prefer him
over these guys.
I prefer him. I know you're going to say that. I would prefer Keenan Allen over Wan'Dale, specifically because I think he's going to get more of a target share moving forward. I really do.
He did get 10 targets last week, and 7 the week before. They are working him into the offense a lot more than Wan'Dale Robinson. So you are right there. Yeah, that's fair. People are going to see Wan'Dale Robinson hit the waivers, and they're going to immediately go claim him, and you're going to think, "Oh man, did I make a mistake?" But let that be somebody else's problem who's continuously getting less and less targets each week.
Yep, 1,000%. Start one in a flex, Tank Dell or Tracy. Oh my goodness. I think the Carolina Panthers are giving up the most points to running backs overall. I know that for a fact because I just saw that stat. I think they're giving up 28 fantasy points per game to running backs. Tyrone Tracy has been on a monster run for him lately. He scored, I think last week against Washington, he only had 7.9. He only had one reception, which is kind of crazy, but 16 carries, I believe 69 total yards. No, I don't have the stats right in front of me. They're right here.
Those are the stats. Yes, you're right.
I know, because I was going to talk about Tracy, and I'm glad he brought him up. I'm starting Tyrone Tracy this week. I don't like the situation over there. Overseas game, I believe they're playing in Germany, correct?
Yes.
I don't like overseas games. And I actually put that in my notes for the Baker Mayfield conversation. But that being said, I still want to start Tyrone Tracy over Tank Dell just because that whole offense over there in Houston's been in a funk. Like I don't even want CJ Stroud on my team right now.
Yeah,
so I definitely don't want Tank Dell.
Tank Dell's been doing pretty well the last couple of weeks. I'm concerned about whether Nico comes back. I mean, he's been evaluated throughout the week. This is the time for him to come back off of IR. But a game against Detroit, I think he probably sits this week and comes back against Dallas the following week. Less travel. Well, I mean, you actually have to travel, but Dallas is a little bit easier than Detroit. Which means Tank Dell by far is the wide receiver one there. But I lean Tank Dell for those reasons. You lean Tyrone Tracy for the reasons that it is Tyrone is doing pretty well. He is hit or miss though. When he does get a touchdown, he gets double digits. When he doesn't get a touchdown, he doesn't get double digits, except for just that one time in week 5. So I'm a little concerned about that, where he seems to be a little bit touchdown dependent on the ground. Whereas Tank Dell, 18.6 last week without a touchdown. Again,
though, Carolina gives it the most points to fantasy running backs.
It is a out of country
juicy
game,
matchup. So. It's a really great matchup. I'm going Tyrone Tracy. But yeah, I'm sorry we gave you 2 different answers. Would you start McCaffrey if he plays? Yes. You drafted him 101. You waited all this time. Yes. And we got a couple more. Guys, we're going to get to the showdown real quick, but we're going to answer this last question, and then we're going to move on to the showdown, and we'll get to the rest afterwards or in the middle of the showdowns. Start 2, Drake May, Tua, or Russell Wilson?
I'm going May and Wilson right here.
You're going May and Wilson?
I didn't even look at who the Dolphins play. Who do the Dolphins play?
Who do the Dolphins play? The Los Angeles Rams on Monday Night Football. I am a sucker for primetime games. I'll tell you that because I like to watch my players play. But because I won. By the way, did I brag about how I won by 0.04 because Kate Otten on Monday night versus the Chiefs. 0.04. Anyway, so I like to go against my players on Monday night. I'm a Dolphins supporter. This is part of the Finstock Sports Network. We're also live on OUSFF Pod. If you're not following us over there, please go do that. Oh, man. I can't tell you to sit Tua because Tua's awesome when he plays. And I can't tell you to sit Drake May because I'm over the May's biggest supporter.
Actually, I changed my mind. I'm going May and Tua. Russell Wilson has to play the Commanders, and they just got Marshawn Lattimore. I know it's a short, they just got him, but that Commanders defense is already getting pretty good with Dan Quinn, and I would expect him. I would expect the Commanders defense to have a pretty good game plan against the Steelers at home.
Tua is a lock
Tua
for me. Tua is a lock for me. It goes down to May and it goes down to Russ. Washington's giving up 129 passing yards, 129 passing yards in the past 3 games, which they've become really elite. And then all of a sudden they add Lattimore. But the Chicago Bears are really, really good against the pass as well. I'm starting May for the rushing upside. Russell Wilson doesn't give you that at all. And May can mess around and rush for 92 yards like he did last week. So Drake May and Tua for me. All right, let's get into the fantasy showdown. Speaking of quarterbacks, we have 2 great quarterbacks to talk about. One great quarterback to talk about, and one quarterback that kind of lit up last week. Daniel Jones versus Carolina in that overseas game in the morning, and Baker Mayfield versus the San Francisco 49ers. I know that you were telling me I got to talk a lot today, but I need you to go first because I need you to go first.
Baker Mayfield has been killing it since week 4. Last week was actually his worst week with 18 points against the Kansas City Chiefs, which if you turn your nose at that's legitimately crazy. He is QB2 on the season, which is hard to think about for the entire season. He is QB2. Daniel Jones, we just talked about how the Commanders' defense is pretty good. And he played Washington and lit it up. He got a rushing touchdown and 2 passing touchdowns, only 174 yards. So he's not really airing it out. He's not getting a ton of passing. He only had 26 attempts, but he's getting involved in that rushing game, which has always been Daniel Jones's strong suit. If we go back and look at 2022, this is where he had a ton of rushing upside. And that's why he was QB9 that year, sitting at QB19 right. I would expect Brian Daboll to look at that blueprint and go, why are we not rushing with Daniel Jones more? They are fairly efficient with that. They barely lost against the Commanders, honestly. So coming off of his strongest game, going up against Carolina, this is a juicy matchup. Mind you, it is in Germany. So that could change things. But Daniel Jones has definitely turned it around. However, can you really go against a guy who has no wide receivers and is still getting the job done?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's crazy. He's still scoring. He's still balling.
Yeah.
He's slinging the ball 45, 50 times a game. He's getting 30 completions a game. This dude is crazy. And honestly, like I get the upside of Daniel Jones. Last week was his first rushing touchdown of the season. And he goes up against Carolina. But Baker Mayfield goes up against San Francisco. That's the tough part. This is really the tough part, is that obviously the obvious choice is go Baker Mayfield. But then you got to look at these 2 defenses. Carolina and San Francisco are not the same team. Carolina is starting to turn things around. Bryce Young is starting to get slightly better in their scoring. So this could be a high-scoring game between the Giants and Panthers. I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm going to lean Daniel Jones this week.
Oh, good. Good. I'm glad we can disagree on something because I thought you were for sure going to go Baker.
I did too. Baker. I talked myself out of it.
I'm going Baker, and it's pretty easy for me. Daniel Jones, I don't want to trust that guy. I do think they're going to lean heavily on Tyrone Tracy. I think that's going to be a rushing game. I believe, Carolina, like I said, they're really bad against the run. So why would they even focus on Daniel Jones and to make him throw the ball 40, 30 times a game when you already have the blueprint on how to beat Carolina? Run the ball down their throats. It's fine. On the flip side, Baker Mayfield, you already brought up the stats. He's amazing, right? He has 325 passing yards in 3 out of the last 4 games. He's been without Chris Godwin and Mike Evans for 2 games now. But don't worry, he makes it work with Sterling Shepard. He makes it work with Cade Otton. Cade Otton, by the way, is the tight end 3, if you guys haven't realized that. He is literally the tight. So I expect all you guys who drafted Sam Laporta in the 3rd round, Otton better be a top 3 pick next year in the 3rd round. He better be, because that's what you guys do. So I'm just saying, Cade Otton's a freaking beast, by the way. I don't know where this came from. Good for him. Baker Mayfield has a passing touchdown in every single game this season. And you bring up the defense. Kansas City has a stout defense against the pass. But guess what? Baker Mayfield still made it work with Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard, right? He's making circus catches out there in the 4th down. It's ridiculous. So I do believe in Baker Mayfield. I do believe it's going to be a shootout, whereas the Carolina-Germany game could be easily the Carolina-Germany game. Carolina-Giants game in Germany can easily be a boring slush fest of just run 3 and out, run 3 and out, run. It could be a low-scoring event. I believe the Buccaneers have one of the best offenses in the entire league, which they do. And in San Francisco, if they're getting CMC back, Kittle's full healthy, they're going to put up points too. This could be a barn burner. And what do I want? Do I want my quarterback to be super efficient and throw for 172 yards and 1 touchdown? Or do I want him slinging the ball 40 to 50 times to try to come back and beat the San Francisco 49ers? That's what I want from my quarterback. I don't care if he wins the game. I don't care if if the Bucs will win 16-6. I want them to lose 38-28 and Baker throws for 3 touchdowns. And that's could possibly happen. So that's why I'm going Baker Mayfield for the straight up upside, because he's a baller. And guys, he doesn't have the greatest rushing upside, but he can get you 20 yards rushing. He does it once or twice a game. Baker Mayfield, to me, is a baller. Our most popular video of all time is me telling you that Baker Mayfield's a bum. But guess what? I've turned my life around, and so is Baker. Baker's a baller, guys. He's real deal. And I'm sorry I made that video last year. I'm sorry. He leads the league in passing touchdowns, 23. What else do you want from Baker Mayfield? If this was CJ Stroud last year, would you be like, oh, we got to bench CJ Stroud because Daniel? No, you would be saying, let's roll with the best quarterback in the league right now, or at least for fantasy. That's not Lamar, because Lamar's on a different level.
Yeah, no, I don't hate you for your reasons to pick Baker Mayfield. I'm going with the defensive side. I'm thinking of both sides. Niners only allowed 14 points against opposing quarterbacks, and they haven't had a good season at all this year. And the Giants are going up against the 4th worst defense in fantasy points allowed. So I'm just going with the upside of the defense of really, really sucking. So,
and I'm just going with the better player. That's fine though. That's why that's why we play the games. That's why we have these shows. Well, we have another. Mateo didn't in the chat didn't get the question. Would you start McCaffrey if he plays? He says
yes.
The power went out. Yes. You drafted him 101. You're now 1-8. Congratulations. Just throw him in your lineup. Who cares?
Yeah. Last one, Jaden Daniels or Jalen Hurts. Honestly, this is just you put somebody in your lineup. I probably lean with Jalen Hurts. He's been absolutely killing it the last 4 weeks. And just he's got the Dallas defense, where Jaden Daniels has that Pittsburgh defense, which is pretty decent. He's not scoring as much, but I mean, you're looking at QB3 or QB6. Like, can you go wrong?
I just don't know what Jalen Hurts. Well, we do know what Jalen Hurts looks like without AJ Brown, and I'm worried about that. AJ Brown, he becomes a one-dimensional quarterback without AJ Brown. If AJ Brown sits out, that's gonna be a problem. This game is at 4:25. Washington plays at 1:00. So you'll know if that's, to me, if AJ Brown plays and he's a full go and he's good to go, I'm starting Hurts. But if he's not, I'm starting Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. If Sutton, I got offered Amari for him. Who would you rather have? Well, Amari's just been hurt now. So as soon as he got to the Bills, he had a game and then just has been hurt. So I would take the healthy player. That's just me. He's been killing it.
I go Sutton.
I go Sutton too.
I go Sutton.
Trade A-Chain and Tillman for Cooper, Dell, and Tony Pollard.
I'm okay. All right. So Nico's coming back, right? Nico's coming back, guys.
Nico's coming back.
Tank Dell's still a great player. Tony Pollard, he's been very solid this year. Unfortunately, he's been very solid this year. I say unfortunate because I was a big Tajay Spears guy. Man, but the best player in this deal is Achane by far. Like, he's by far and away the best player in the world in this trade. I'm sorry, not the world, in this trade offer. I hate giving up the best player. I hate it so much, especially for secondary players. If you're giving up the best player in the deal, which you are, you need a 1, where Cooper's not a 1. Dell's not a 1. Tony Pollard is not a 1 as far as running back 1 go. He might be statistically, but he doesn't feel like it. I don't even know if he is or not. Is he top 12, Justin? Can you check that for me?
Yep, he is RB19.
Okay, so he's a low end running back 2. So again, you're trading the guy with running back 1 upside, up there with the Bijans, up there with the, not quite the Derrick Henrys because they're all solid players. But when Tua's played, Achane has shown you he's scoring 25 points. He's fucking just awesome. He's just phenomenal. So I don't want to give that up. So that being said, you're also just giving Tillman away, who we like Tillman. Tillman's fine, but it took him a garbage time touchdown to be fantasy relevant last year. So you're really giving away just Achane, in my opinion, for 3 players. It depends on your depth and what you need. But man, I don't want to give the best player away unless I'm getting a very, very, very good player back, not just I can fill this guy as my running back 4. That's just me. Keep Achane, try to get something better if you need depth. You give no opinion.
I hit it too early.
I get no help from my co-host. I need someone to back me up on this one.
Let's go back to that question. I mean, I haven't even kept up with Achane this year.
Achane's a freaking
baller. Yeah, he's great. He's been really good the last couple weeks, especially with Tua coming back. So, you're looking at this. Do you downgrade your running back to upgrade your wide receivers? And by upgrade, I mean like you're getting Cooper Kupp. Because
is that Cooper Kupp? Is it Cooper Kupp or is it Cooper? I read that as Amari Cooper.
Oh,
if that's Cooper Kupp, I'm doing it. But if that's Amari Cooper, I'm not doing it.
Yeah, if that's Amari Cooper, that's a hard pass. I read that as Cooper Kupp, but now Amari Cooper does make sense.
It doesn't. Hey, Jonathan, is it Amari or is it Cooper Kupp? I'm assuming because you use last names with everybody else.
Yeah, I'm gonna assume that's gonna be Amari Cooper, and that's a hard pass. I would keep Achane and Tillman at that point.
But that was a Cooper Kupp. Smash that.
That's a Cooper Kupp. That's a different story.
That's what I'm saying, though. That would go back to my first argument or my first answer. Try to get like a number 1 back, not just
because right now you're downgrading your running back to get Tony Pollard, and then you're just getting 2 Tillmans.
The games Amari 2 have played. The games 2 has played. He's been a running back 3 or better. Achane on the week.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's 4 weeks.
Yep.
And 2 is not getting hurt again. I have faith. All right, let's go to the running back position. This is an ugly one. I wanted to punch you in the face whenever you gave me this matchup. Like, I really wanted to punch you in the face. Austin Ekeler or Tank Bigsby. Austin Ekeler is going against, of course, Pittsburgh Steelers. Tank Bigsby against the Minnesota Vikings. This one is so hard because I don't roster legit any of these players. So, and I'm in like 30 leagues. So I roster I make the joke when someone scores, I just cheer because I most likely have that player somewhere. I don't have these players anywhere. Not 1 second. Not one team. Not one hope. I don't know, Justin. I don't know. They're both bad. They're both like, I don't want either on my team. I don't want to start. And this is a possibility. This is like your reality right now. You're like, oh man, I have these 2 shitty players. What do I do with these 2 shitty players?
We're talking about RB32 and RB35 on the season. Can you guess which one's which? Can you guess which one's RB32?
Bigsby's probably higher because he had a better week. 1 week.
No, Eckler's better. 32.
Okay,
Bigsby is RB35. So, this is a reality. I do roster these 2 players on different teams. And that's because of the 0 running back approach that I always seem to take. Austin Ekeler is the top pass catching back in Washington. If Brian Robinson misses any of the time, he's likely going to be on a snap count if he does play from his injury. And Pittsburgh does allow the 6th most reception yards to running backs. So that's very favorable for Austin Ekeler. Whether Robinson is in there or not, he is involved in that pass catching game. So that is something that you have to consider. Last week with Robinson out, he took 47% of the snaps, only 11 rushes, but he did get a touchdown. He got 4 targets for 41 yards. That's pretty big for a low end, RB3. So I do like that. Tank Bigsby, on the other hand, will see his workload decrease as ETN ramps back up to full health, hopefully. We did see Tank Bigsby get more and more of the workload slowly, even before ETN came out of the game. But now that ETN is back, Bigsby's not getting 100% anymore. And Minnesota has the 6th lowest points allowed to opposing running backs. And last week, the Jags completely abandoned the running game, giving Bigsby only 8 carries. To me, this one's an obvious one. To me, this is Austin Ekeler all day. And
yeah, it's Austin.
I don't even think it's close.
Yeah, it's Austin Ekeler. It's Austin Ekeler for me. 49, almost close to 50% of snap share throughout the season. Tank Dell. Jeez, that's on my mind because that last question. Tank Bigsby is only averaging 32% snap share. And when he did play, he looked great. But last week, again, you said 8 snaps or 8 carries. But he was also dealing with an injury as well. He was questionable going into that game. ETN has been questionable with that hamstring for a while. I hope he comes back soon because he is the guy there. Although he's having a very, very bad down season. He really has. He hasn't finished a top 24 finish all season long, even when he was healthy. That whole Jaguars team's a mess. But he is getting the majority of the carries when he is there, of course, because it's Travis Etienne. He was a first-round pick. He deserves to be there. But Austin Ekeler, again, he's you can't, with these guys, you can't bench him over Bigsby, but I would bench both of them. I just bench both of them, but I can't say that. I literally have to pick one. It's like, Predator versus Alien. We'll both lose if one of these guys.
I'm in a league this week where I have literally 0 running back on. I have no running back to start this week. I had to go out and make a trade to get a running back.
All right, I'm getting into your mind, right? So this is what Justin does now. I figured it out. You look at your fantasy matchups. You're like, all right, who's on my team? Damn, I have Ekeler and Bigsby. I'm gonna let Josh help me out, but I'm not gonna tell him. We're just gonna put it on the show. So Josh,
I have done that once. I'm not gonna lie. It was the very beginning of the season. I have done that once, but no, I do roster these guys, but they're not on the same team.
The problem is Brian Robinson Jr. is also injured. That's a big problem, obviously, right? He's the best running back there. He's getting the majority of the carries. He's by the way has the most red zone carries on that team easily. Ekeler's only has 25 targets on the season, which Ekeler's biggest claim to fame is pass catching, which he's not doing. So if he's not catching balls, what is he really doing? At the end of the day, here's how I took this one. Who's going to score more points? The same thing I did with Baker. And the same thing you should be doing. Look at the over/under that Vegas puts out. Who's going to score the most points? Who's going to have the highest scoring games? If you're thinking about something and you can't figure it out, who do you think Vegas? Because Vegas never loses. They're not wrong. Vegas over/under. Okay, cool. I'm assuming it's probably Washington's going to outscore Jacksonville. We can probably agree on that, right? I think so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think so. And if they're on the field more and they're scoring more touchdowns and they're in the red zone more, Austin Ekeler is going to have more opportunities to score touchdowns than Tank Bigsby. That's just how my brain thinks on these things, especially when they're so close and especially when there's 2 players that are just totally kind of irrelevant for your fantasy football team. But if you're in a pinch and you need help, I would start Austin Ekeler versus Tank Bigsby. Questions? We got some questions.
Yeah, need advice. Did I make an okay trade? 2 QB league. I have Hurts, Kyler, and Tua. Someone wanted Tua for Mike Evans. Did I do okay? My top 2 wide receivers right now are London and Higgins.
Is it a 2
of injured running?
Is it a 2 quarterback league or is it a super flex league? Which I'm assuming just 2 quarterbacks. Since you said that he has Hurts, Kyler, Tua. Okay, you have 3 really good quarterbacks. Somebody wanted Tua for Mike Evans. Did I do okay? My top 2 wide receivers are London and Higgins. Man, you are messed up right now.
You're gonna have you're not gonna have Mike Evans for the next 2 weeks. He's probably not gonna play this week. Then he has a bye week.
Well, hold on, Terrell. Hold on, Justin. Chill out. We don't know his record. What if he's a winning team? What if he can afford to take some losses? What if he can afford, because he does. He has what I would have done, which you may have done this, because guys, we can all say, oh yeah, you should have gotten this, you should have gotten that, you should have reached higher, you should have got a better player, maybe reach for somebody like, Achan, right? I'm just throwing a name out there, or a receiver that you may need, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, someone of that nature. But you can only trade for what's out there. As in, if you have 11 other teams that you're looking through their rosters and you send offers to 11 other teams, but only about 2 or 3 respond, you can only work with so much. It's hard to say you should have went out and got, this player. Well, what if that player wasn't available? What if Mike Evans was the best person available? Mike Evans just has a hamstring injury. If Terrell could take 2 losses, or maybe just try to go 1-1 until Mike Evans comes back, it's fine. I think it's great because he's playing for the playoffs. And that's what you should be doing, playing for the playoffs at this point of the career. We're going into playoff push season. It's time to prepare for the playoffs. Matter of fact, we're going to get a playoff show going to prepare you for that, because it's time to get there. And I think Terrell did that here. I really do think that. You might take a couple L's before Mike Evans comes back, but when Mike comes back, he's coming back to Baker Mayfield in the magic they were creating before he got hurt. So I'm all for it.
And Mike
I'm
Evans is absolutely going to be the alpha when he does come back.
I'm here for that. I'm here for that.
I kind of worry about Kate Otten once Mike Evans comes back. So that's a story for another day. Quentin Johnston or Wandale this week, and Pollard. Well, we'll start with Quentin Johnston or Wandale. Johnston. They play the Titans, right? Yeah, they play the Titans. I'm going Quentin Johnston.
And Wandale, yeah.
Pollard or Rico in the flex. Pollard. Well, Rico Dowdle just was a top 8 running back last week. So freaking Atlanta, they got Philly this week. Pollard's got the Chargers defense. So actually Cooper Rush.
This one sucks too. This one sucks so bad. Oh my goodness. Both
Rico.
of them suck.
Just go. I'm going Rico.
Taman, I think I'm pronouncing your name correctly. When we just went through Ekeler and what's his face, the other loser.
Tank. It's literally right there on the screen still.
Oh, Tank Bigsby. Sorry, I'm looking down here. We're speaking to you, buddy, because you're like Quentin Johnston or Wandale. You're like, what the fuck, dude? Sorry for my language today. I'm just a little out there. I'm sorry for you, man. I would start Quentin Johnston and I would start Rico. That's awful. Oh my God. People are down bad, huh? I'm down bad.
A lot of Pollard questions today. Start 2, Hunt, Pollard, or Tracy. Hunt and Tracy.
Tracy, we already talked about earlier. Quincy, especially with you. And Kareem Hunt has been a revolution for that offense. Man, people are saying, I can't wait till I have some people saying, I'm going to make a playoff push whenever, what's his face comes back. Pacheco. Sorry, buddy. Hunt can do exactly what Pacheco does, but probably better, in my opinion. Maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah. Next up.
Oh. I love when he does that. It's the great. You know what? It's the greatest. You're the greatest. You're cool. You're so cool. Calvin Ridley or Keon Coleman. The Titans are playing the Los Angeles Chargers, and Keon Coleman and the Buffalo Bills are playing your Colts. I think you chose this again because you're Colts. You always sprinkle in the Colts. It's
not true.
Every single episode we're talking about Michael Pittman.
I go to the weekly rankings and I pick guys that are like right next to each other. So
yeah. These guys are next to each other? For real?
Yeah. For this week, yeah.
Wow. Wait till we break down my rankings on Friday. I'm going to start first, and it's going to be short and simple. It really is, but not too short. Keon Coleman is fine. Like he is what it is. He is a rookie receiver playing with Josh Allen, and he can go for 20 points, or he can go like last week for less than 2 points. He can easily be phased out of this offense. Josh Allen can easily go, you know what? We're not throwing it to him this way. We're going to go target Khalil Shakir. I'm going to go ahead and run it over here. Hell, we'll throw it to Dalton Kincaid, and he won't catch it once in a while. Hell, we'll throw it to Dawson Knox, and it'll be way over his head. But Keon Coleman could be phased out of the offense. He's not their number one. Matter of fact, they just traded for Amari Cooper because he's not a number one, because they realize he's not a number one. So we're speaking about maybe the second, third, fourth option on a team, a very good team who's going to score a lot of points. So that throws my whole argument earlier away. But we're talking about a number one receiver with zero competition who's been getting targeted a ton lately with Mason Rudolph. But they're going against one of the best defenses in the league. Chargers are second ranked according to PFF again on the coverage grades. Second best according. I know PFF, take it or leave it, whatever you want to say about it, but this is a grade. This is a metric, and usually they're kind of somewhat right. That scares me. But that being said, we've seen Calvin Ridley get fed 15 targets in a game. And if that happens, it's like the Malik Neighbors effect of last week. I told everyone to sit him. I told everyone Malik Neighbors was not going to be good last week, but he still had 9 catches for 59 yards. And if you're playing PPR, that's still 14 to 15 points. So Calvin Ridley could do the same exact thing. 9 catches, but not to get a lot of yardage. He's still scoring you double digits. Whereas Keon Coleman's floor is literally 0. I don't think Calvin Ridley's floor is 0. I just don't believe that. Whenever there's man coverage, which the Chargers do play man coverage, Calvin Ridley's getting targeted 31% of the time. So they do like to throw him one-on-one matchups and obviously man matchups. He's top 5 in air yards in the entire NFL. He's getting almost 8 targets a game. We already spoke about the target share. I think Calvin Ridley, this is a no-brainer to me. I don't see a situation where I can start the third or fourth option for Buffalo over the number one option in any offense. That's it, short and simple.
Yeah, my concern is who's starting at quarterback for the Tennessee Titans, because Ridley has been great with Mason Rudolph the last couple of weeks. But yeah, you're right. He gets a lot of targets. He does not get the touchdowns. That goes to Nick Westbrook, Keon, which we talked about yesterday with 4 touchdowns over the last 4 weeks. This is definitely, for me, a QB matchup. Is Willis able to return? And it is hopeful that he does return for week 10. So that to me is concerning, because Ridley is not Will Levis's favorite target. And in fact, in games that Will Levis plays, he has scored a total of 35 points in 5 weeks. That's not great. So Keon Coleman, injury aside from last week, he did get injured in Miami. He has that wrist injury, so that's something to consider heading into this week. He was great the 2 weeks before that with 16.5 and 18. He's been getting targets out of a lot of places. But and then including Amari Cooper might also be hurt. So it might just be Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Dawson Knox in this game against the Colts. This one is I don't think it's as clear cut, just because, again, we don't know. Is it Rudolph? Is it Levis? Because that to me changes a lot of opinions, and that's something that I would be waiting for Sunday to make that final decision on. But picking today, I'm going to go Ridley because right now Levis is questionable, and that leads to Rudolph playing, which leads to Ridley having a really good game and getting a ton of targets. The only thing to really think about for Coleman, especially if he does play, is that the Colts do rank 28th in points allowed to opposing wide receivers with 43.89 points per game, which is one of the worst. So it's definitely something to consider when you're making your decision. But
look, we're talking about a guy, and not to S on your point, but Keon Coleman's getting half the targets that Calvin Ridley is getting in a per game basis, 4.3 to 7.3. Like, that's almost half. That's huge. And again, it doesn't matter if it's Will Levis. I know he's only scoring X amount of points with Will Levis. I get that. I understand that. But that was before the blow up. That was before, I need targets in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Ever since he said that, and he went off on that and said, how many targets I get in the first quarter or whatever, they've been feeding them because they understand, oh, wait. And didn't they just trade Hopkins?
Yeah.
Okay, ever since they traded Hopkins, Ridley's been very good again, so he's no longer competing with anyone. You can talk about Nick Aquino Westbrook or whatever his name is. You could talk about Chig. You could talk about anyone over there. Tyler Boyd. None of them are showing up. Calvin Ridley's showing up. where you go to Buffalo, you can have Khalil Shakir catch 11 catches. You can have Dalton Kincaid get targeted 25 times, but he's not going to catch one of them because he freaking sucks. And then we got Keon Coleman over here getting 4 targets a game. That's all I'm saying. Go with the guy with the more targets, more opportunities. That's for me.
I would agree.
Right.
I would pick Ridley. Coleman's got injury, a potential injury too, so that also knocks him out, I think, as well. So, questions. A lot of Tracy and Tank Dell today. Would you start Neighbors over Tracy and Tank Dell?
Yes.
Yeah. Should I start Michael Pittman Jr.? No. Or Josh Downs over Michael Pittman Jr. Yeah, Josh Downs over Michael Pittman Jr. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Downs for sure.
I mean, why would you start wide receiver 2 over wide receiver 1 for a team?
Wow.
That's my question.
Yeah.
You don't start Jordan Addison over Justin Jefferson, do you?
No. You start Chris Godwin over Mike Evans, though, because Chris Godwin's the wide
They're
receiver.
both good. They're both good.
But I'm just saying, you would say, if you're asking wide receiver 2 versus 1, you were starting Chris Godwin over Mike Evans.
When the gap is that little, yes.
I joke. I kid. Okay,
can we
get to the can we get to the tight ends?
Yep.
Why are we talking about Jonnu Smith today? Why are we talking about Jonnu Smith? Can someone help me out on why we're talking about Jonnu Smith versus is this a matchup for you? Do you have Jonnu Smith and been holding on to TJ Hockenson?
I don't have Jonnu Smith anywhere.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I have TJ Hockenson as well. I don't know what to tell you on this one. As in, I don't know why you would roster Jonnu Smith. Raise your hand. Actually, no, don't hit that like button if you have Jonnu Smith, because I will get no likes. We'll get 0 like buttons if you have Jonnu Smith. But who do you know someone who has Jonnu Smith on their fantasy team?
Not in short leagues.
Not in rating.
So yeah.
No, okay, let's be honest here. Jonnu Smith has received 8 targets, 7 targets, 6. So he's been getting targeted since week 5. That's a fact. Can't hate on that at all. He has 1 touchdown in that time frame against the Indianapolis Colts where he scored 22.6 points. He was the tight end 2. Other than that, he's been the tight end 30, tight end 15, 52. He's been unstartable this year. Jonnu Smith should not even be in this conversation. TJ Hockenson, I know a lot of people are afraid that, is he going to come back and be the same? He didn't have a great, game last week against the Colts, and people are worried about that because he was a full go. I understand that, but for me, I'm starting the best player available in this matchup, and I know some people will tell you, hey, if he tells you, start the best player available, then he's lazy. No. TJ Hockenson on paper and on the field is a better overall player than Jonnu Smith. He's a second game back, people. I am picking TJ Hockenson far and away, easily for me. I'm going to go to you and see because you're the biggest Jonnu fan I know. Who are you going with? That's why you put him here. You're the biggest Jonnu Smith fan I know.
No, he's on this list because of what you mentioned. He gets a lot of targets over the last several weeks. He's one of the more targeted players on the Dolphins. And TJ Hockenson didn't have a great outing against a really bad team, a bad defense against the tight end position. Only 4 targets for 27 yards. Only brought in 3 of those completions. Again, first came back from a torn ACL. So I fear that people will look at this and we see tight end 17 on the season getting lots of targets. With Miami, with Tua's back, he's doing better since Tua's been back for the most part, versus TJ Hockenson, who also has to go up against Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison is starting to somewhat come out of the sellers of whatever the Vikings were holding him in and didn't have a great performance. So I could see people still being a little weary about saying, I don't think I should start Hockenson yet until he proves it. Guys, this is the time. He's got the Jaguars this week. And let's be honest, that's a great matchup. It's a very favorable matchup, especially when the Jags have to double JJ. They have to cover Addison. That leaves Hockenson with a slot corner or a linebacker. Yeah, I'm going Hockenson here. Don't even fret at this point. Like we say at the beginning of the season, start your stud. You drafted him for a reason. You held on to him for this long for a reason. Start him.
Yeah. And that being said, Jacksonville gives up 11 points a game to tight ends, which you might think is low, but the worst team in the league is the Carolina Panthers, who give up 15 points a game to the tight end position. So the tight end position has been down across all leagues this year, all teams this year. No one's scoring points. Keon, again, is your tight end 3. I should tell you all you need to know about the tight end position. TJ Hockenson has a really, really good chance if he goes on fire and gets going to finish as a top 10 tight end. He has a chance to do it because all you need is a couple 20-point games. See Kate Otten, top 3, baby. Yeah, that was it, man. That's it. There's not much analysis there. We just want to let everyone know. Start TJ Hockenson. Don't be afraid.
Yeah. And Josh, this is the second week in a row where we have agreed on 3 positions and differed on the quarterback position. So
I like it. So last week, what did I do? 1 and 3.
You went 0 for 4.
I went 0 and 4 last week. So
I went 1 and 3.
But you owe me a chug. Oh, tomorrow, Friday, by the way, if you're just now watching the show, you're just now tuning in. Friday, if Justin, because he's sick, he's hiding it pretty well. He's not like me. If it was me, I'm such a big baby when I'm sick. I don't know how you're handling it. I'm coughing. I'm sneezing. Remember that time where we were 30 seconds before showtime? I'm like, I'm not doing this. And I just left. Remember that?
I think it was just Dave and I for that show.
So I'm happy that you showed up today and you showed up well and you came to work sick. Thank you.
I did have an inactive list go out at 11 a.m. on whether Justin was going to be available for today's show or if he was going to be inactive today. So
that's true.
Official thing at 11 a.m. this morning.
That's true. So we have a couple more minutes to answer some of your questions. So if you're still here in the chat, there's 54 of you guys watching live right now, whether it be on X, Fins Talk Sports Network, or of course, OUSFF Pod. If you are on our YouTube or you're not, make sure you go to our YouTube, OUSFF Pod. I want more subs. I need more subs. Again, 500 subs. I will wear a tux. I will go buy a tux at Men's Warehouse.
and in that show, Justin will wear a tank top.
Yes, and then 1,000 subs before the end of the season, which is very, very ambitious of me. I will shave my head completely. I have long hair, and you don't know that. Remember that commercial? You're too young. Never mind. With John Clayton, ESPN. Reason his mom, he does a thing, and then he's except the long ponytail.
Yeah, that's he just rips off his shirt and tie. Yeah, God, I miss John Clayton sometimes.
Yeah, me too. I miss the old days as well. Make ESPN great again. So that being said, let's answer some questions and let's get out of here.
I'm assuming this is Jawan Jennings or Taysom Hill.
Oh man, Jonnu Smith.
Taysom Hill had a really good week this week. Top 8 tight end.
They have a coaching change. I'd like to see what's going to happen there with that offense. I'm still going to go Taysom Hill because he's just a better player overall.
Jennings has been hurt. He's questionable this week. He's back at practice this week. I'm going Taysom Hill, unfortunately. I have Tank, Dell, Downs, Hockenson, Mark Andrews, Bucky Irving. Who do I start at wide receiver 1, 2, and flex? Just reading this off, I'm going Tank, Dell, Josh Downs, and Mark Andrews.
Oh, we're different. I am going to go Tank Dell, Josh Downs, and Bucky Irvin. I think the Buccaneers, again, one of the best offenses in the league. TJ Hockenson, we just pumped him up, but just remember, JJ's still there. Addison had a big week last week. And I don't know if Hockenson's ready to take over games just yet. And Mark Andrews, I've been benched that guy. Matter of fact, I've been dropped that guy. I'm sorry. And then he, of course, started scoring touchdowns again. So that's just my luck with Mark Andrews. But yeah, Tank Dell, Josh Downs, Bucky Irvin.
Cincinnati was the game that Mark Andrews revitalized his season with 9.5 points, and they got Cincinnati this week. Justin, who are you going to trust? A guy named Justin or a guy named Josh? Let's be serious here. So, a
guy in a suit or a guy in a Margaritaville jacket? Who are you going to vote? Or who are you going to go with? Probably the guy over here with the suit and tie because he looks so damn dapper and so cool. Make sure you follow us everywhere. OUSFF Pod. Everywhere, X, Instagram, TikToks. Go to our website, OUSFFpod.com. Make sure you follow our YouTube page. Drop a like. Thank you so much for everyone who watched us today. I love you guys so much. We'll see you next week. Peace out.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to like and subscribe wherever you watch or listen to podcasts. Follow on X and Instagram at OUSFFPOD. We'll be back next week for more ways to win your league.